She was the MC, and I thought she was the cutest thing. She wore a tutu. Does anybody remember? And I thought, how bold is this sister to wear a tutu? And so this year I couldn't find a tutu, but I went like as close as I could to something flaring. But we connected then professionally, and she trusted me to publish her first book, and she trusted me to publish her second book, and she could have chosen anybody. She chose me. While working together, we became friends. The notion that women cannot come together and bond, it's not true. It's not true. We love each other, don't we, sisters? We love each other. And now we're friends. And so from acquaintances to colleagues to friends, I'm thankful that out of events such as these, relationships are forming. And it feels even like a community is forming, that we are among our own. That prayer this evening was amazing. I was wanting her to go on a little bit more. I felt like if she had a few more minutes, she could have fed us. Did anybody else feel that? Like if she had a couple more minutes, she could have done something with that thing, didn't she? The exhale moment was amazing. The steel drums, Peyton Bailey. I don't think she's still here in the room, but is she here? Is she here in the room? You did it. You did the thing. You did it. You did it. And Yvette Powell, I am biologically the only girl in my family. I don't have sisters, but I thank God that he sent Yvette to be a little sister to me so I could have one. The ongoing joke between us is I'm older than her, but she thinks she's the oldest. Okay, does everybody have a sister like that? She's the baby, but Yvette can take charge of it. Look, no show of hands. No show of hands. I'm thankful for family who are here. I'm thankful for friends who are here. You got to meet my mother who stood. Isn't it a blessing to still have your mother with you? And not only is she here, not only does she live with me, she's my rider. You know, I said, Mom, I'm going to try another new thing. And she just, okay. And she rides along with me. But I praise God for her that she has always been a role model, that she exemplifies grace and courage, and that she raised me up in the way that I should go. Now, I did depart, but that was a long time ago. I found my way back, and I thank God for her love and for her support. I'm grateful. Thank God for each of you. You could have been anywhere this evening, and you are here. Thank you for buying tickets. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for the love. It just feels like such a loving environment. When we were here 3 years ago, we were in an era that we now refer to as pre-pandemic. Isn't that interesting? It has its own name. When we were here 3 years ago, we had no idea that COVID-19 was coming. A lot has changed in the last 3 years. Before the pandemic, we discussed brokenness. Brokenness. We discussed that broken crayons still color. They don't look like we thought they would look. They didn't hold on to their original structure. Things didn't quite go as planned, and yet they still had purpose, and yet they could still make something beautiful. So that Desiree had the wherewithal, she blows my mind, to take all of the crayons we broke up and melt them down into something purposeful. Is really poetic, isn't it? You have your broken crayons and you're still coloring. And so the word that I kept hearing tonight was empowerment. Can we talk a little bit about empowerment? Our theme is reflections, but the slogan for tonight was empowered women empower women. I recently completed a study of all the women in the Bible. Did you know that there are more than 400 women in the Bible? Out of the study of the 400, I chose 100 of them, and I posted one woman per day for 100 days. It's free. It's open to the public. Go to my website, scroll through them. They're still there. 100 women, 100 days. It began as a research project. It evolved into a social media campaign. It is now a movement of empowering women. But before we go to empowering women, let's be clear. I love men. There will be no male bashing. There will be no disrespecting. We can be empowered without disrespecting our men. We can be empowered without dishonoring our men. And when I say I love men, I love men. Old men, young men, tall men, short men, light men, dark men, athletes, academians, attorneys, theologians, thugs. Love them too. Love them all. Love them all. So can we give, even though they're not here, our men a round of applause? We love them. We love our men. Now, that being said, if you came to be empowered, my question is, do you have any power? How will you know if you have power? Did you come with power? Are you expecting to leave with power? What is power? What is it? By definition, power is the ability to influence the behavior of others. Do you have any influence over anybody, anywhere? Power is the ability to change a current of events. Do you have the ability to influence change? Can the world be made better because you have power? Can lives be improved because you have power? To empower is to give someone authority. To empower is to give someone control. That being the case, if this is an empowerment event, and the expectation, no pressure, the expectation then that the keynote speaker will leave you empowered, I've got some work to do. Because what I have to do now is make sure that you leave here with the skills and the confidence to exert power. My assignment is to make sure you leave here with the skills and the confidence to influence change. I accept the assignment. Sister says, and I receive it. Let's talk about the empowerment model. In a few minutes, I'm going to have you stand up. I'm going to have you exert power. So let me set it up for you what's going to happen. There's 3 steps to empowerment. The first step is you're going to have to take a stand. In a few minutes, I'm going to ask you all to stand. So move those potatoes around in your bellies. Right. Put your shoes back on, whatever you need to do. In a few minutes, I'm going to ask everybody to stand. When you choose to take a stand, what you're doing is taking a position of authority. When you stand, it's a position of assertion. You're asserting. My sitting to say something is not the same as my standing to say it. Okay? Now, after I have you stand, I'm going to have you make a proclamation. You're going to proclaim something. When I was growing up, and she was here, so she's here. She doesn't mind me sharing. When I was growing up, if things got a little out of hand in the house, my mother would stand up and she would say, I have had enough. Y'all had the same mama. What happens when mama or big mama stood up and said, I have had enough? If I didn't want to find switches on a tree, I sat myself down. And so that's what exerting power is. She stood up, took a position. She made a proclamation. She said something, and she expected change. That's what we're going to do. Now, we have a model for this. This is not one I made up, so I cannot take credit for it. It's in Genesis. Genesis first chapter. Have you all read the Bible? Are you Bible readers? Is anybody here not a Bible reader? So, okay. Everybody, is everybody here a Bible reader? She says, well, I don't read it, but I got one. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Genesis 1 and 2. The scripture is, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. I'm going to read that again. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. I've got a few questions. If there's nothing there, why is there need for the Spirit to hover? If there's nothing there, why is the Spirit surveying the darkness? There's nothing there, according to Genesis, but the darkness. Now, in the first 2 chapters of Genesis, 14 times God says something. 14 times the Bible tells us God said, God said, God said. Who is God talking to? He hasn't made man yet. Who is he talking to? Why is the Spirit hovering? 14 times God said something, 14 times God did something. Every time God says something, God does something. He says it, he does it. He says it, he does it. Words alone are not enough. Faith without works is dead. You must say it and you must do it. Okay? Now, by the time we get down, further down in chapter 1, 18 times God says the word let. Let means to allow, to permit. Who is he telling to let? Who is he telling to permit? God's having conversations with something. Who is he telling? Let there be light. Who, God? Who should let there be light? Let birds fly. Who? He's exerting authority. He's exerting his power. Who is he talking to? I have a theory. I believe he's talking to the principalities of darkness. There's nothing else there. I believe he's speaking to the rulers of darkness to exert his authority. You had authority here, but I am God. You had authority here, but I am here now. Watch me work. Let there be light. And there was light, and it was good. Let birds fly, and they flew. And it was good. He's commanding the principalities. He's commanding the spirits of darkness. He's making his presence known. He's exerting his power. I am God. Watch me create something from nothing in your space. That's what he did. The third thing God did was then he rejoiced. Every time God made something, he would celebrate, and it was good. At the end of every day of creation, he would acknowledge, and it was good. It was good. And so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you stand to your feet. I'm going to give you the proclamation that we're all going to make together. And then I'm going to have you give yourself a round of applause because it is good. Stand up with me, ladies. When we were here 3 years ago, we were talking about brokenness. You survived the brokenness. You survived it. You're still here. The brokenness was before the pandemic. How about the brokenness that came with it? You survived the global shutdown. Oh, yes, you did. You survived the whole hygiene thing. Wear the mask, don't wear the mask, make a mask, wear not a mask. You did it. Hand sanitizer, make some hand sanitizer. Spray Lysol. Where's the Lysol? We don't know. Use bleach. You survived it. You survived the toilet paper shortage. Remember that? Remember when there was no toilet paper? We got toilet paper back. And she said newspapers. Yes, she did. She said it out loud. You survived it. You survived it. She said newspapers. She did. Glory to God. You do what you got to do, sister. You do what you got to do. You survived it. You survived being shattered. You survived being broken. You survived being alone. COVID was alone. For extroverts like me, the alone was a bit too much. You survived. Churches shut down, restaurant closed. You survived, and you kept coloring. The sister had you stand up and announce, despite it all, you kept on. You wrote the books. You started the businesses. You moved. You fixed your credit, raised up kids, worked on the marriage. You've been doing it. You've been doing it. And so what you're going to do is, now that you're standing with your position of authority, I'm going to give you a proclamation. Here's what we're going to say together, and I'm going to count you down when we say it. You're going to speak just as God did. We're going to follow the example that God gave us. When you speak it, I want you to mean it. I want you to shout it. You're going to say, let it be known. Let it be known. I am still here. I am still here. I am still coloring. I am still coloring. And it is good. And it is good. Give yourself a hand. That's empowerment. That's what empowerment means. So we acknowledged our brokenness. We embraced our empowerment. Now comes the next step, from brokenness to empowerment to reflections. Reflections. For those of you who are note takers, I'm going to give you 5 points. For those of you who are not note takers, just commit it to memory. It'll be all right. I'm going to give you 5 points. The purpose of reflections is improvement. The purpose of reflections is to elevate you next level. When you reflect, you are looking at ways to do better, to be better. The areas in your life where you have not been effective, and you can be more effective. The areas in your life where you have not been efficient, and you can be more efficient. The purpose of reflections, and this is important because I want you to stay with me, is for us to elevate. We're moving beyond the brokenness. We're empowered to elevate. We're ready to go next level. We're not new at this anymore. I'm going to give you 5 reflection points because I want you to consider where you need to take a stand, where you need to make a proclamation, where you need to exert power. Where are the areas in your life where you need to stand up and say, I have had enough? Where are the areas in your life where you need to stand up and say, let it be known? Some things are about to change. Can I be real? Yes. Up in here. Some things are about to, let it be known. This is as far as we're going to go functioning in this capacity. Let it be known. I'm ready to take back my peace. Let it be known. This foolishness that's been going on around me has run its course. Let it be known. I want you to think about, it's personal, the areas in your life where it's time to take a stand, time to exert power, time to influence change. Webster's dictionary gives us 5 definitions of dictionary. If you'll bear with me, I want to walk through the 5 definitions, and with each one, I'd like to give you a point of reflection. Okay? Definition number 1, the return of a wave front to the medium from which it originated. That's very scientific. The return of a wave front to the medium from which it originated. Reflection question number 1. In Genesis 1:26, God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion, control, power over the earth." When God made you, He made you in His image. When God made you, He commanded the principalities of darkness. That which I just made in my image has control over you. Here's reflection question number 1. What does God see when He looks at you? When He looks at you, what is reflected back to Him? If you were made in His image, when He looks at you, should He not see Himself? If you were made in His image and He gave you power, when He looks at you, should He see you walking in your power? When God looks at you, does He see someone walking in dominion? Or are you defeated? Are you balled up in the corner crying, "We don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to make it. How am I going to get through?" Or have you decided you've got dominion here on earth? Have you decided that when God looks at you, He will see Himself, that you are a reflection of God? Definition number 2, when you give serious thought or consideration to something. Now, I have been guilty of saying, "My schedule's too busy. I do too much. I don't have time to think about that." That's one of my favorite lines. "I don't have time to think about that right now. I'll come back for that. I'll think about that later." Reflection is saying that a matter is important enough for you to stop and think it through. Stop and think on it. Reflection point number 2. Question number 2. What do you need to make time to think through? What have you kicked to the curb long enough? What have you pushed under the rug long enough? What is the area in your life that is now requiring you to stop, make time to think it through? That is your second reflection. Reflection number 3 is also definition number 3. I like this one. This is the throwing back by a body or surface without absorbing that which came. Okay? Yvette, we call this when something comes to you, it touches you, reflects back off with the same force with which it came. It ricocheted off you. You are unbothered by it. Unbothered. There are some things, maybe it's time to just let it go. Maybe you've been bothered long enough. There are some things you can't bring to me anymore because I won't absorb it anymore. Miss me with your negativity. I'm not interested in negativity anymore. Gossip, I don't want to do it anymore. High expectations, I don't want to carry it anymore. So when those things come to me, I let them reflect back off me without absorbing it. I cannot carry the weight of the world anymore. So that reflection question for you, number 3, is what is it time to let go? Who is it time to let go? Somebody's season is up. You can't carry that anymore. Now, between reflection 2, I'm asking, what do you need to make time to think about? And reflection 3, what do you need to make time to not think about? In between those is the serenity prayer. Do you know that one? Say it for me. God grant me
the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Give yourself a hand. The things that you can change. You take a stand, you exert your power, you change it. The things that you cannot change, you don't need to carry that anymore. Let it go. It's not yours to carry. It's not your cross to bear. You only focus on that which you can change. The rest of it is not yours to carry. Definition number 4 is reflection number 4. If you look into your bags, you each have, I think Desiree made sure every bag has a mirror. Can you take out your mirrors? I know these are wonderful bags, aren't they? I was looking for like gas cards and Starbucks cards. I was like, ooh, this bag's got everything. She got crayons. Can you take out your mirrors and open them up for us? And go ahead, check yourself out in your mirror. Look at yourself. Go ahead, check yourself out. See, oh, she's so cute in her black dress. Yeah, fluff your hair up, touch up your gloss, all the things we do when we look in a mirror. Go ahead and open it up. Desiree can't help herself. She polishing her mirror. Let me know when you got your mirrors open. And I want you to see, hold them up, look at those beautiful reflections. Definition number 4, an image as seen in a mirror or shining face. May I ask what you see when you look in the mirror? She says, me. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. We got to start. What is it you see? God's gift of beauty. What, anyone else? What do you see? You see strength. Somebody says courage. Power. You see power, joy. That's what you see. Somebody who's been in the worst places and God's brought her back. What else do you see? Do you see someone you love? And do you really love her? Are you good to her? Are you kind? No, don't fool me now. Are you good to that woman in the mirror? Are you really? Because what my question is then, how can we make life sweeter for her? Where is it time for you to take a stand for her? Where is it time for you to exert power for her? What can you stop doing that hurts her? What can you stop doing that harms her? That woman in the mirror really needs you to reflect on how you can treat her a little bit better, how you can make her life a little bit sweeter, a little bit simpler. What I'm going to ask you to do, and next year, Desiree, next year, I'll just keep saying next year until she gets it. She's going to catch up. I'm going to speak it next year. Next year, I'm going to ask you what you've done, one thing you've done to make life better for the woman in the mirror. You'll be able to answer me. Now, when you make your proclamation for her, remember to take a stand. Remember to proclaim, to say it, and remember to use the command, let. Let there be peace in her life. Let her get more sleep. Let her have a break from a hectic schedule. Let her spend more time with God. Whatever it is you're going to do for that woman, stand up and make a proclamation. She's not praying as much as she should. I will let her spend more time with God. I'll finally do that. Okay, and then my own. I'll let her get some exercise, okay? I'll let her go back to the gym. I don't like it, but I'll do that for her, for the woman in the mirror. And now we're coming up to the big one. Now, number 5 is so big, I had to break it down into 3 parts. I'm going to do the 3 parts, and then I'm going to sit down. I told you I talk fast, right? Can you all hang in there with me while we do the 3 parts for number 5? Are you still with me? Let me hear you. Are you with me? I like that so much. Okay, now number 5, the reflection for number 5 is about your surroundings. It's about what's going on in your environment. Okay, so has everybody in here at least one time ever driven a car? Is there anybody in here who has never driven a car? Never? Oh, yes, you have. Yes, you have. Okay, no, so everybody in here has driven a car at least one time. Okay, so I'm going to use a car analogy for the 3 parts of number 5. Okay, we're talking about awareness of our environment. Dr. Hayes, when you're in a car, the car has gauges. The gauges help you manage where you're going. To get to where you're going safely, to get there GPS accurately, to get there without collision. Okay, there are gauges to help you navigate while you're in your car. Let's not worry so much right now about the gauges. So you're in your car. Go with me. You're in your car. You're in the driver's seat. You're behind the steering wheel. You get in your car. The first thing you're going to do you're going to flip down the vanity mirror and make sure, because you have to check your cuteness, don't you? I'm not the only one. You get in and flip it down and you be like, okay, we can go now. And if not, you flip, fluff, dab, and then you're ready to go. So let's move past the vanity mirrors, okay? Now, there are 3 things we need to talk about that's going on now that you're in the driver's seat. Now that you are empowered to drive, there are 3 reflections we need to check in your driver's seat. The first reflection, you wouldn't believe this, are the headlights. If the lights don't work on your car, what happens? So my reflection question 5A is, what is illuminating your path? What is a light unto your feet and a lamp unto your path? What's keeping you from driving in the darkness? What's guiding you? What books are you reading? Which videos are you watching? What groups do you belong to? Where are you getting guidance so you get this right? Headlights are actually very small bulbs. They reflect against mirrors to provide light to illuminate your pathway? What's lighting the way for you? What's making sure you can see where you're going clearly? What are the headlights in your life? And if you're not reading something that enlightens you, if you're not belonging to groups that inspire and motivate and encourage you, if you're not watching videos that propel you forward, can we re-examine the headlights? Because if the positives are not guiding your way, then the negatives are. Something is guiding you. Can we examine what that something is? Where are the headlights in your life? That's 5A. Just two more. 5B, I really like. Cars have what are called convex mirrors. We call them side view mirrors. We call them wing mirrors. Where are the side view mirrors in your life? The side view mirror, the one to the left, illuminates, highlights, reveals your blind spot. The things that are creeping up on you, the things that if you don't stay in your lane could become a problem for you. What are they? What are the things that if you're not careful and you cross a line, they could be problematic for you? Your side view mirror reveals those blind spots. What are the side view mirrors in your life? What's reflecting potential danger in your life? The one to the right, I really like. That one comes with a caution, doesn't it? Have you read the small print on the right mirror? What does it say?
I'm just closer than appear.
They're closer than they appear. It might be okay to stick your toes in for a second, sisters, but the problem might be bigger than we think. The danger might be closer than we think when we don't stay in our lanes. You all know exactly what I'm saying. You're going to make me say it. Just give me a head nod. You know what I'm saying? Stay in your lanes. Stay in your lanes. Watch your mirrors. If you don't belong over there, y'all didn't make me say it. It's the last one, and then I'm going to take my seat because I like this one. Now, this one is reflection 5C is your rearview mirror. The rearview mirror reflects that which is behind you. The rearview mirror allows you to see what's back there. It allows you to see how far you've come. The rear view mirror shows you where he's brought you from. The rear view mirror says, he did not leave me back there in the darkness. He did not leave me back there without form. The rearview mirror says, I've overcome those things. The rearview mirror says, back then my crayon were breaking, but today I'm coloring. The rearview mirror says, I'm not who I used to be. I'm moving forward now. The rearview mirror says, when I reflect, when I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say I've been blessed. I've got a testimony. The rearview mirror says he loved me too much to leave me back there. The rearview mirror says, back there, weapons formed against me, but not one of them prospered. The rearview mirror says, when I reflect, when I look back. When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, my soul shouts hallelujah. I thank God for saving me. My rearview mirror says, I'm still here. I'm still coloring, and it is